Alright, this is episode 2 of my D&D terrain building series. So in the last episode, I talked about the terrain that I currently have and what I loved about it. This episode, I'm going to talk about what I don't like about it and how I'm going to make it better. So for the first things first, I'm not the biggest fan of the scaling. Yes, these are 1-inch pieces. That means I can build a big room, a big dungeon, really fast and not take up a bunch of space. With that being said, everything I have, all my scatter terrain, takes up significant space. For example, the box. That is a huge box, but it's an inch by inch box. The next thing I'm not the biggest fan of is when it comes to these 1-inch squares. Yes, it's great. You measure, it fits on there. You throw down an enemy, it fits on the square. You can now see it. You are right next to the enemy. You know where you're at. However, you start adding your multiple different people into this little room, and you add your enemies in here. This now is extremely cluttered. No matter where you're sitting on the table, you are just looking at this clutter. I don't like that. Especially when you have characters that have these little flowing capes, or they've got whatever they've got. They got a big flowing book, they got a weapon drawn. Their miniatures take up more space. And now all of a sudden, you are just tight-knit, band together. So that's the next thing I don't like. The squares are just too small to be able to effectively look at the map, look at the dungeon, and get an idea of what you're doing. The next thing I don't like is when it comes to the actual terrain pieces themselves. If you look at this one, I've got my 4 squares. That's great. That's dandy. I love it. Each square is usable. This piece is not. I have 2 usable spaces and then half spaces over here. Now this is great and all when I'm going to attach it next to another piece. I now have this lovely little half wall in the middle of the room. However, I am losing these 2 spaces. So you can't really put a miniature on there. It clutters up that space. So I don't like that. I don't like not having the space available. The next thing I don't like is when I'm trying to build out the room. Yes, you put these little bones in the squares, you start clicking them together, but once you start getting big scale, you gotta flop pieces around, you realize, oh no, I got this piece here, I need to rotate it. You now have to fight each and every click, trying to get this unhooked to be able to, if I want to move that, I gotta do some serious effort, holding everything down, pulling it out to get it rotated, to move it. That's the next thing I'm not the biggest fan of. It's rather tedious and really difficult to make small changes. You have to put forth way too much effort to make small changes. And the last thing I'm not the biggest fan of is the actual pieces themselves. They are beautiful. I love the notches underneath. It's easy to hide. You can click things together much more seamlessly. However, almost every single one of these pieces, since I didn't design it, I can't alter the file. I could probably upload it somewhere and dink around with it, but I already have it, it already works. But I have to clean up each of these little edges before these bones will fit in there effectively. It's just time consuming. Yes, there's ways around it, but if I'm going to be redesigning it, I might as well design my own that's better than this. That concludes this video. The next one, I'm going to show you the prototype and the first idea I have behind my vision.